Everybody, welcome back to the second episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NFL Picks. I'm your host, Megruer31. Thanks for watching the first video. Thanks for the feedback. I realized that my sheet auto corrects some of the names, so they were spelled wrong. And I realized that the Chargers are no longer in San Diego. They're in Los Angeles. And probably the funniest one was the whole video I called Justin Fields from Chicago Joe Fields, because Joe Fields was a quarterback for Syracuse, who I'm a big fan of. Um, and he was the quarterback on their football team for about like 4 or 5 years. So, old habits die hard. So this week, hopefully, we'll get it a little bit better. And week one was good. I did well. I think we had some good picks here, but you can't, just go by it. We can't get super excited about it. I think we still need like 3 weeks before we're really ready to look at and be like, okay, this is a trend. Because like some of the target shares that we saw, maybe it's the defense there, maybe it's the funnel defense, maybe they were up against a bad quarter, or maybe they were exploiting a matchup. I don't think Josh Allen's going to throw so many picks. I don't think that the Bengals are going to go 0-17. I don't think Dallas is going to shut out every team that they play. So, I think we got to take it with a grain of salt. Yes, take it in context. There's a lot of different things that we can learn from it, but there's a lot of things that I think we know deep down are still going to be good plays. Starting to have some injuries that we have to look at, so we'll discuss those. And I expanded the sheet a little bit too with your feedback. I added some stacks to like the games that we're looking to target, and let's just go through it game by game and let's see what we come up with. So the first game, we had the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. Concerns in this one is that Aaron Jones is going to be out. Hamstring, I believe it is. So A.J. Dillon should get the start there. Looks like Dubes is going to be back. I don't think Watson is. He's highly questionable. So they might be down a couple wide receivers still. On the Falcons side of it, I don't think there's any major injuries that we have to look at. So 40.5 total here. Atlanta is a 1.5 point favorite at home. So fantasy relevance in this game. A.J. Dillon, if you want to take him, I think you can definitely put up some yards here and stuff with the wide receivers. Dubes, I think, but Jaden Reed here could be a great value and a great cash game play at 3-4 if he's going to start and be someone that really doesn't need to do a ton to pay off his tag at 3-4. And Musgrave, the tight end, I really like also at 3-2. I get it if you don't want to play. I wouldn't play Jordan Love yet, even though he looked good in the first one. I think that was just a product of the team that they were playing. But I think you have some nice values here in Reed and Musgrave that you can play in cash games. For the Falcons, I don't think I'm touching them all. Ritter, it looks like they want to run the ball. He runs the ball. Bijan Robinson, I had as a fade last week. I know he had some flashes of brilliance, but Alger, it looks like it's kind of a share here. And Algier, I know a lot of people went out and picked up in their season long just because he looked so good. And Atlanta's definitely committed to the run. So I'm not touching any of the wide receivers here in London or Hollins or even Pitt, the tight end, I think is a fade. Even at 4-2, he's kind of cheap. In GPP, maybe take a shot if he gets open the end zone. But the dude is like hot or cold, drops a lot of balls. And Ritter, it doesn't really look like, they're trying to pass the ball too much. So again, not too much from this game. I think just the value pieces from Green Bay. Chargers and Titans here. This is my second favorite stack game. 45 total, 2.5 point favorite with the Chargers. Big news here is that Austin Eckler is ankle injury, didn't travel with the team. So Joshua Kelly, who did come in and have some decent runs. I think he almost had 100 yards. Did catch a couple balls out of the backfield. So he's going to get the start here, and I think he's going to be a chalk running back play. On the other side, Hopkins is questionable, so we'll have to see if he suits up and plays also. I'll start with the Chargers side. Kelly, I get it, the chalk, 5K, starting running back against, almost had 100 yards, but Tennessee is a funnel defense. They're very, very good on stopping the run and want you to pass the ball. So I don't know. I really don't know if I want to eat the chalk with Kelly or not in my cash lineup. So I'll have to make that decision. I'm not going to put them in the core, but I'm going to mention that this is going to be a very highly owned play, and I get it. But then again, on the other side, I don't get it against a really good rushing defense. Herbert, I really like as quarterback. I think there's a lot of upside there too, especially if he's got a pass. Allen and Williams, I think, are fine. Palmer, we've been waiting for him to break out, but it just never happens. Every so often, like maybe every 6 or 7 games, he'll have a big catch or a touchdown. So, but I don't think I'm going to include him if I'm stacking. If I'm stacking, I'm going to go Herbert, Allen, Williams. I'll double stack it there. Maybe throw in Kelly or maybe Everett, the tight end. On the Tennessee side, running it back, if I do run it back, I take Hopkins. If Hopkins is not available, Burks is really cheap at 4 or 5. But if not, I really like the tight end Okonkwo. Didn't have a great game one, but I think this is a great opportunity for him. Very talented. We saw some really big games last year, and I think even though Tannehill's a marginal quarterback and more a game manager, more like a Trent Dilfer, when the Ravens won, more relied on their defense and had a quarterback that could manage the game. And Henry's a decent running back, but we saw Spears out there also a little bit. And I just think Henry, he's got taken too many hits, and I just don't think he's the dominant running back that he has been in the past, that people in their season-long fantasy leagues were drafting, number 1 overall. So again, it's kind of hard to run it back here. So I think Hopkins or Okonkwo, the tight end, are the best options for you. But I really like this game, really like the total, and I think I'll definitely have stacks for that. Raiders and the Bills come in as my 5th favorite stack, only because it's going to potentially be a blowout at 8.5. So on the Las Vegas side of it, don't think we have any injuries that are Myers is out, I think, for them, I believe. Let's see here. Really questionable out. But I'm not going to take Garofalo as a quarterback. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be very popular. The Jets did a lot of running against the Myers is out with concussion. So the Jets did a really good job running against the Bills. So I think Josh Jacobs is going to be very popular here, and I really get to play. Adams, I think, could definitely have a big game here. I don't really like Renfro or Carter or anybody else that might fill in even with Myers out. I just think it funnels more towards maybe Adams and Jacobs, and Hooper, the tight end. I don't know. I suppose so. It's cheap enough, but I think you can only get like maybe 4 or 5 points out of him. So not super excited there. So pretty much if I'm playing this game and I'm running it back, it's going to be Jacobs or Adams. On the Bills side, Allen, I think it's going to be the cash chalk quarterback. And I get it if people are apprehensive, but the Raiders run a different defense. They play more zone coverage. They don't have like an elite defense like the Jets do. So I think Allen will be fine. I think, he'll be coached up this week and tell him not to take as many chances. Cook, I think, is another decent Running back to take here. He looked good against a tough Jets defense. Plus, if they get the lead, they might just be handing the ball off to him to run the clock out late in the game. So I think that bodes well also. Diggs definitely, I think, is a great receiver. Hardy looked really good, but I think it was just a product of how the coverage was, because they really had Gabe Davis blanketed. But I think in the zone, Gabe Davis is going to thrive here and have a better opportunity to get open and have more catches. So I still like Diggs, but I think Gabe Davis is definitely going to have a better week. And Hardy, if you want to take shots at 3K and GPPs, that's fine if you're stacking like the Bills. But I really think Davis is going to outshine him this week. And then the tight end situation is a tough one. Knox and Kincaid, like, they're both out there. They both could caught balls, and like you just don't know which one. They're only 2K difference. I lean Kincaid, but Knox is a veteran. He's been there for a couple years and has a little bit of rapport. Kincaid was like highly drafted and a young guy that they're really looking at. So we'll have to see how that plays out throughout the season. But I think both are in play if you want to throw them into your stack. Seattle and Detroit. When these two teams played last time, it kind of broke the slate. They scored 1,000,000 points. I think they scored like 80 points between the two of them. It was a high scoring game. The millionaire maker had like, I think 5 or 6 players from this game stacked it. This game just went off. I'm not saying it's going to happen again this week, but it still has a decent total at 47.5. It's probably my 4th favorite game out there. On the Seattle side, Geno Smith, I think you can take. I'd prefer to take Goff on the other side. I think he's a better quarterback, has a better offensive line. Definitely, Seattle's offensive line is banged up, so Geno Smith might be running for his life. I don't really trust Walker. I know he caught a couple of passes out of the backfield, but it doesn't mean he's turning into a pass-catching running back. I think he still is the same kind of Walker that we've known. And wide receivers, DJ Metcalf is definitely in play. Lockett, I know, got banged up and got pulled out of the game, but he's perfectly fine. He'll be back, and that's fine. And Jackson Smith and Najigwa didn't really do much. I mean, maybe he'll emerge throughout the course of the season, but until I see something, it's Metcalf and Lockett for me. I don't really like the tight ends like Fant, Parkinson, and Disley. They all just kind of blend together, and I don't think any of them score more than 4 points. So I think, you really want to look at Metcalf and Lockett here as a run back and more focus on the Detroit side of it. So give me Goff as a quarterback. Now, here's the interesting thing with the running backs. Montgomery got the ball and he was fed the ball and he ran the ball and he ran the ball and he ran the ball and did good. We saw Gibbs make some plays and they were pretty explosive, even though they didn't go for like huge amount of yards or anything. But I think they're talked about getting more involved. So I don't think Montgomery is going to be the smash play. I think it's going to be pretty even, pretty split. I think you're going to see Gibbs, but I think it all depends on the game. So if they're off, then I think Montgomery's the bell cow that just kind of hand the ball off and eat the clock. If you need more offense, if you need to put your foot on the gas and make up some points, I definitely think Gibbs is the guy that you want to look at. And in this game, if it's a shootout, it should be pretty close. It's only 4.5 total. I think that definitely, I'm going to look at Gibbs. I think he's going to have lower ownership, and I kind of like that. But I do understand playing Montgomery. Wide receivers, on St. Brown is just the volume that the guy gets. He's just a monster. Love him. He's definitely in play here and somebody that's I'm locking into my stack. And Josh Reynolds, I think if you want a second piece of the wide receivers, that's fine. Marvin Jones, it just looks old. I think, he was out there. He had like all these wide receivers just doing like cardio exercises. Seemed like, they're just running around getting their cardio in, but not really like productive. And I think he's one of them. Laporte, I think, especially on FanDuel, is a decent tight end here too. But I think you really need to get like the touchdown there. So if I'm stacking this game, then give me Goff. I mean, if you take Smith, if you want to, I get it. St. Brown, and then Metcalf, Lockett, one of the two of them. That's, how I'm going to approach that one. Indianapolis Colts and Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson looked great. Had designed running plays for him, but he just doesn't know how to get down. I would just kind of fear like Big Ben and Josh Allen. He's just going to take some hits and get concussed and injuries and stuff. He's got to know like when to. And Josh Allen has done a better job of knowing when to like get down and even Lamar, like some of the running quarterbacks, like once they take enough hits and he took a hit. I think his knee just got banged up. He was out for a series or so, and then he came back in and finished the game. He should be perfectly fine. He might get Zach Moss in, but I don't think that. So Deion Jackson's not going to be the running back, but Zach Moss, I really don't like. I think Richardson's going to be more the primary runner here. Wide receivers, Pittman actually surprised me. He had a pretty good game. Was getting himself open for Richardson here, so no trouble pairing him if you play Richardson also. But I still like Josh Downs. I think they were roommates during training camp or know each other from like college, or there's some connection between the two of them. So I keep on looking to play that and try to exploit that. Tight end, I'm not super interested in any of them either. Grinson, I think is okay, but if I'm playing the Colts, then it's probably just going to be Richardson and maybe Pittman or Downs. I mean, you can play Richardson naked because like it just his rushing upside and everything is perfectly fine. But I do think even though the Texans are favored here, CJ Stroud is questionable. So we'll have to see if he actually plays the game. And if he doesn't play, then I just don't know what to do with the Texans because Nico Collins absolutely loving like his cash play at 4.8. Definitely got a lot of volume. Definitely the clear cut number one wide receiver. Like Robert Woods is showing his age. Like and none of the rest of the ones are really there. Like Schultz, the tight end, is okay. Pierce is a decent running back, but the Colts have had a decent run defense, so I think they're going to throw it. But Stroud is a rookie, and if he's injured, I don't know, just could be an absolute disaster. So I think if you still wake up tomorrow and see that the Texans are still favored in this game, and Stroud is so questionable, that I'd take like the Colts to actually win this. They didn't look as bad as we thought they would, and Richardson definitely is exciting young quarterback with some talent here. Definitely could win that game. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looks like it's going to be like 60% chance of rain in Tampa Bay, but probably just going to be a warm, muggy rain. It doesn't look like it's going to be super windy, so should be fine there. Chicago side, Justin Fields. I think you play him at GPP. Like DJ Moore, I thought would break out, and I think the connection was there, but like Moody's actually only caught the touchdown last week. So we'll have to see what happens, but he doesn't have a really good offensive line. He's still running for his life. I think like we all thought Khalil Herbert would be a great play too, but it looked like Johnson and got as many snaps as he did, and you still have Deontay Foreman in the mix also there. So that's just a hot mess. And Komet, the tight end, really wasn't super productive either. So, and in Tampa Bay's got a decent defense. So I think you can maybe play Joe Fields as one off, maybe DJ Moore, but I really don't like a lot of the Chicago pieces until we see them get more chemistry, get a little bit more healthier, or figure out the offensive line. So not really interested there. Tampa Bay on the other side, Baker Mayfield didn't look bad, and it looks like he's got some decent weapons here. And Evans and Godwin actually look like decent wide receivers again. Otten should be a decent tight end. They used to have like 30 different tight ends here. I mean, they do have 3 deep here, but I think Otten is definitely the clear-cut favorite. And Rashad White looked great out of the backfield, and he's definitely the number one feature back here. He's backed up by Sean Tucker, who went to Syracuse, who was actually a phenomenal athlete there. He's actually in Heisman Trophy consideration until he got injured in the end of his junior year. He left a year early, and then he had a heart condition or something, so he didn't get drafted. But then that was medically cleared, so he's perfectly fine. Had a great training camp, so he's someone that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. But until then, White, and I really like, because I think the Bears field will have turnovers, get sacked and everything. So I really like playing like White and the Tampa Bay defense together in the same lineup, because I think the defense is going to score a lot of points, and then they're going to be playing from playing ahead, and towards the end of the game, they're just going to keep on handing the ball to White, and his numbers are just going to go up and up and up. Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals, 46.5 total. This is my third favorite game to stack here. Starting on the Ravens side, people asked me like why I had Dobbins as a fade. I didn't know he was going to get injured. I just didn't like the matchup and the fact that you had him and Justice Hill and all these new wide receivers, and I didn't know like what the game flow was going to be, and was Lamar going to be running the ball, and so, and what was going to happen on goal line play. So it's horrible. This is, I think it's his second injury that he's had to come back from now, and hopefully he'll heal up and still have a bright future in football and not get discouraged by it. Looks like Mark Andrews will be back. We all played likely last week because Andrews was out and he was a 3.2, and he just didn't really work out very well for us. But at least it wasn't spending a lot of money to get a 0. I think it was a 0. But anyways, Ravens side of the ball, not going to touch the running back situation. I think Lamar will probably be the goal line back here. So I think he's definitely in play, especially in cash for a quarterback. Flowers looked really good. Really like that. Bateman is definitely a deep threat if he can actually catch the ball. Odell Beckham was another one I'm running out there doing cardio, but he ran routes. So I think it's just a matter of time. There will be a week where Odell Beckham will probably break the slate and have like 3 touchdown catches or for like 34 yards or something like that. But I don't think it's this week. And like even Aguilar and Duvernay, who are decent wide receivers there. So they've got some pieces here. We'll just have to see how they use them through the course of the year. But I think Lamar Jackson is definitely the safest bet here. On the Bengals side of it, I think will be Joe Burrow. I think, again, like I said earlier in the video, I was listening to the Eagles game driving home, and they just said this is like a glorified preseason game. It's just so sloppy and stuff. And I think that's what the problem with the Bengals was, is that Burrow didn't play at all in the preseason. The timing wasn't there. His calf's probably still bothering him, so he wasn't able to be as mobile and drive the ball. And I think they'll be perfectly fine here. I'm not going to hit the panic button. So I think he's in play. Mixon's definitely in play. Chase and I know Higgins didn't have a catch, but I think he'll definitely break out and be fine. Just kind of like Gabe Davis situation. It was just situational last week. Smith, the tight end, I like, but don't love. So definitely a great game to stack here. Jackson or Burrow, whatever side you want to take. I probably would take Lamar Jackson and Andrews and then run it back with like Chase and or Higgins. If I'm stacking the game, but definitely some decent pieces here to play on Sunday. Highest total on the board is Kansas City and Jacksonville. So Kansas City bouncing back, Kelsey, and then you have 3,000 wide receivers, and none of them can catch a ball. So it looks like Sky Moore's gone to the top of the depth chart. Marquise Valdes-Scantling is there too, and then Tony, who was wide open and just like Butterfingers dropped a bunch of balls, but out of nowhere, Rashid Rice had some catches and actually had some upside. And I think people will start to chase that. So I think with Kelsey back, I think it helps Sky get open a bit. So if I'm taking any shot at any of these wide receivers, it might be Sky Moore if I'm doing like a Kansas City stack or something. But Kansas City has a running back that's highly doubtful in Hilaire. So I think we really need to look closely at playing Pacheco, because I know McKinnon's in there, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is sick and probably gonna miss the game. McKinnon comes in for gadget plays and stuff, but Pacheco, I think, is the one that they would use just actually as a running back. So Mahomes is always in play. Kelsey's here, so I mean, there's the pairing. If you want to go in GPP with Sky Moore, that's fine, but Pacheco, I think, is another one at 5.7. If he's clearly the running back there, besides a few gadget plays they throw for McKinnon, I think that's definitely a decent value there. Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence, love him. He looked really good. Ridley looked really good returning from his suspension and looked like a number one wide receiver. Definitely should. Zay Jones, I think, is in play. Kirk, I mean, there's lots of Ingram, the tight end. I think this will definitely be a high scoring game. It's got 51.5 total. Should definitely be a shootout, even though it's like going to be 85% chance of rain again. And Miami, same situation as Tampa, or not Miami and Jacksonville in Florida. So, but I still don't struggle stacking this game. So Lawrence or Mahomes, I'd probably prefer Lawrence because he's much cheaper, nice little discount there. Run it back with Kelsey. If for some reason Kelsey's not there, Prosecco, but give me like Ridley, Zay Jones, Kirk, if you want to like double or triple stack wide receivers. NTN is definitely somebody that you can look at also. He It doesn't look like he's the goal line back. Tank Bigsby is. He poached a touchdown there, but NTN actually was catching the ball and running well, and he actually had a long 26-yard touchdown run. So definitely looks good and good to be part of the offense too. So definitely someone to consider there. San Francisco and the Rams, we have San Francisco looked great. And again, I said in the video last week that I didn't know what to do or who to take just because they had so many that I just said not Kittle because he was banged up, but McCaffrey came out and looked really good. Ayuk caught 2 touchdown passes. Brock Purdy looked like a decent quarterback. So, and San Francisco has put up points and just beaten down the Rams the last couple times that they played them. So I think Purdy's in play here. Definitely, I don't have him up on the sheet, but I mean, you can't put everybody on there, but it's definitely in play. McCaffrey, if you can get up to him. Samuel, Ayuk, a lot of people will chase that. I'd probably go Samuel this week because I still think he's good. They're probably as close together too. Kittle. So definitely San Francisco makes a lot of sense here. Probably gonna be a blowout, so maybe McCaffrey will be running it. If you need a cheap punt, if you're playing 150 max, if you want to throw Elijah Mitchell in a couple in case he gets the garbage time carries, then that's something to consider. On the Rams side of it, I think this is going to be overreaction time. So Cam Akers was supposed to be the starting rack. Kyrie Williams definitely outsnapped him and looked much better. So if you want to go with Williams, definitely I wouldn't trust Akers. If you don't trust the situation overall, I get it. Matt Stafford looked okay, but I think it was the context against his 49er defense. I think he's going to be in trouble. Van Jefferson is horrible. Naku had an amazing game, but then got hurt at the end of it, and he's kind of questionable for this one after the workload he took and all the hits he took. But I think Tutu Atwell is kind of sneaky here. If Nakua misses, I think Atwell could. He had 8 targets and 6 catches, I think, for like 80 yards or something like that. So he had a very successful day also. So if he's one to look at it at 4-7. I think like Nakua is going to be the chalk, and everybody's just going to box score chase that one, but I had no interest whatsoever. And Higbee, the tight end, I think is also in play too. So definitely the 49ers is who I'd be taking. And if I am running it back, I might just take Atwell as the only one that I consider, or I might just do like San Francisco stack and not run it back at all. The other thing too is like, if you can get up to McAfee and the San Francisco defenses, pair them together. But then again, I said in GPPs, maybe take Elijah Mitchell in case he gets the garbage time. So New York Giants and the Arizona Cardinals, we have the Giants got absolutely obliterated by Dallas. And but the defense isn't that bad because the offense gave up 2 touchdowns. So it's a case where it was week 1, so let's shake it off. And they're up against Arizona, who's the worst team in the NFL, even though they played better than we thought they would last week. But I thought the plan was that they're just going to completely roll over and try to get the number 1 draft pick. Josh Dobbs came into camp late. Doesn't even know who the receivers are, he said. So starting the Giants side here. I mean, it's a 4.5 game, but I think the Giants will definitely go in there and dominate. Daniel Jones, I think, has a lot of upside, running the ball and making some plays. Barkley, I think, is firmly in play also. Waller should be healthy, should be playing. So, like him, it's kind of roulette here with the New York Giants wide receivers against Dallas and such a good defense. We really didn't get to see much, but Slayton and Campbell and Hodgins are pretty much the feature ones there. But I think this Jalen Hyatt, who played at Tennessee, is definitely one to watch towards the end of throughout the season to see if he develops himself. And he definitely could be a very talented individual. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but I wouldn't play him right away yet. So Giant side here, love Jones, love Barkley, and actually I put this stack in the millionaire maker just because I don't think anybody will be on it. So I took Jones and Barkley and Waller in the Giants defense, and that was kind of my core for that game, and not running it back with anybody from the Cardinals. I don't trust Dobbs. Connor, I think, is good because he's definitely a lead running back with nobody really challenge him. The Brown, Wilson, and Moore, I really don't see any of them breaking double-digit DK points there. Zach Ertz, he actually had some targets and some end zone targets, so if you're going to run it back with anybody, I think he would be the one there. But I think I'm just going Giants straight for that. Jets and Cowboys. This is going to be a great defensive battle. I know the Cowboys have a huge favorite by 8.5, but we'll see what happens there. I really don't like anybody offensively in this game here. Zach Wilson, I mean, he's going to be really cheap. So, if you want to pump for quarterback and take him, Wilson and Garrett Wilson, who's just an amazing wide receiver, made an amazing catch in the end zone. It's going to be a special talent. So, but the tight ends really do nothing for me. The running backs, like Breece Hall, looked really good, but he kept on running out of gas. Like he could have broke like an 80-yard touchdown, but he just couldn't. His conditioning's not there coming back from the injury, and I think they're going to be careful with him with his ACL tear last year, coming back from that, or whatever his injury was, or Achilles. I can't remember what it was, but he was injured. Something with his leg. Delvin Cook, was there poaching stuff too. So I think just having that committee, and you still have Michael Carter in the background too. So there's too many running backs there, too many mouths to feed. So Wilson, if I'm doing anything from this game, maybe the Jets D, because we've seen Dak, occasionally get reckless and throw some picks and stuff too. Not as bad as Allen did last week, but we'll have to see. On the Cowboys side of it, again, I really don't love a lot of this. I think they've got a great pass defense, but Buffalo and Cook was definitely making some way in the ground game. So Pollard is somebody I like here at 7.5. He is the only real back in town. I mean, you have Dowdle and Vaughn on the team, but didn't see a ton of them. It was pretty much Pollard. So I love Pollard and pairing him with the D here to shut down the Jets. I think that's the way to go. CeeDee Lamb's fine. Prescott's fine. Maybe Gallup will start to break out. Jake Ferguson's a tight ends, cheap at 3.3. Definitely Prescott likes to hit tight ends, and Ferguson's the best one left in town after Schultz left to go to Houston, I believe. So anyways, low scoring game. I just don't think I want a lot of pieces of this unless I'm taking like the defense and matching up with a running back. Final game, we have the Commanders and the Broncos here. Howell didn't look bad out there, but I really don't want to. I really don't think I'm touching this game here. Jerry Jeudy should be back, so it's going to kind of muddy up the receiving situation here. Like Sutton was such a great value. Mims didn't work out as well as we thought, but he definitely has some talent. but Russell Wilson looked much better than we thought he would. Pierline didn't do much, so Javonte Williams seemed to become pretty much the lead back. Dolchik, the tight end, got hurt, so Troutman is going to be starting, but he's more of a blocker. They really don't have a pass catcher there, so I mean that kind of helps the wide receivers here in Judy and Sutton. So if you did want to do like a little stack here with Wilson, Judy and Sutton, that's fine. You still have your young quarterback on their side, so you can pair up with the Denver defense and Javonte Williams if you want to. On the Washington side, like we saw Robinson and Gibson both get some carries. McLaurin, have to see if he's healthy enough with his toe. So Dotson, if he's out, still is a good play. And Logan Thomas is usually also, but he gets injured so much, I just can't trust him. He might make it 3 snaps into the game and be done. So, but Howell continues to be a cheap quarterback if you need to go down the low and punt. But Wilson's only like 400 more than him, and I think it's a much better matchup for him on that side. So let's just look at the pool quickly, and then I'll get you the cores, and I'll get you on your way for your weekend. So in the high range, I like Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Medium range for quarterback, Herbert, Lawrence, and Burrow to bounce back. Cheap range, like I said, Daniel Jones and a good matchup there. Richardson with his rushing upside. Hopefully he learns to slide a little bit more. And Baker Mayfield has some decent weapons at Tampa Bay and a good matchup. I'm fading Joe Fields, just the offensive line. He runs around too much. Ritter on Atlanta, it looks like they're maybe really focusing more on the run than passing. And then Dak, I'm not interested in either because the Jets just have like an amazing passing defense. Just not this week for Dak. And like I said, Richardson and Stroud, we just have to watch them. Richardson should play. Stroud is questionable. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey is definitely the head of the class as always. Jacobs is in play. Also, Barkley against the Arizona rush defense, and then Pollard against the Jets defense, who and might get the extra yardage at the end of the game if they're playing from ahead, trying to run the clock out like they did last week. In medium Cook, that Cook should be the Buffalo one, not the Jets one. Good matchup for him, did well last week, and if they're ahead against the Raiders, might need to use him to run the clock out. Connor against is the number one, nobody really challenging him there. Mixon's in play, and NTN looked good in the first week also. The cheap ones, if you want to take a shot on Kelly against Tennessee, who has got one of the best rushing defenses, if you think that he can break through there, that's fine. Cheap enough and will be very popular. White from Tampa Bay is one of my favorites, especially pairing with the Tampa Bay defense. Montgomery for Detroit. If you think that they're ahead and going to run the ball, I'd go Gibbs. I think has more upside, more in GPP. And then Dillon and Pacheco are definitely going to be some guys that have opportunity with other guys injured or out in their backfield. I'm fading Henry again. I just think it's too many miles. B-Rob from Atlanta again. Like Algier there, it just looked like it's a timeshare. The Jets, it's the same thing. It's a timeshare. Herbert looked horrible for Chicago. Williams got more snaps than him, and then Akers, same situation. Not interested until like he burned me so much last year, and then he was just like away from the team. We didn't know if he was going to play, and he has talent. That's a frustrating thing about it, but it just doesn't. And sorry, it was Johnson that took Herbert. So Williams is the one that took away the snaps from Akers. So I just don't trust those situations. And then injury watch, like Jones shouldn't play, Eckler isn't playing, and then the Kansas City guy is sick and probably not playing. Wide receiver, Diggs is my favorite one, paired with Allen, Chase, St. Brown, Ridley, and Keenan Allen. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those in your lineup. If you want to save a little bit more, Higgins is good. I think he bounces back this week. Metcalf and Lockett have a great matchup, and Hopkins if he's healthy. And then the 5 to 6K range, Williams is definitely coming off of Allen or playing with Allen in the San Diego stack. Samuel AQ, the San Francisco guys are in play. Flowers looked good. Got a lot of targets from Lamar. Even having Andrews back, I think he'll still be fine. And then Gabe Davis, I think, against the zone defense versus just being a lockdown man on him. And the Jets will have a bounce back week. So Nakua, if you want to chase last week, is there. Nico Collins, I think, is a great spot. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be, but definitely the lead wide receiver there is Zay Jones for Jacksonville, and then Jay Reed for Green Bay are really cheap guys that should be involved in the offense. Injury watch again, Hopkins, Deontay Johnson. He's not on the slate. Myers is out with concussion, and then Watson from Green Bay is probably not playing. So tight end Kelsey and Andrews should be back. They're head of the class here. Waller and Kittle are back. They're banged up too, but all of them should be good and good to go. Andrews is probably the most questionable, but I think he'll be perfectly fine. Last week, no tight end really scored a lot of points, so I'm probably not paying up this week. I'm probably going to look at more of the value ones. I kind of know where I want to go in my offense, and tight end's not a priority for me. But for you, if it is, perfectly fine. Any of those four work. Medium range, I like Ingram, Higbee, and the Buffalo guys are pretty cheap also. But again, you just don't know which one, Kincaid or Knox, is going to be the future one. And cheap, Musgrave from Green Bay is good. Okokwu, I think, is probably my favorite for Tennessee, especially if Hopkins mixed, and Laporta for Detroit is in play. I'm fading Pitts. Just Atlanta doesn't look like they're prioritizing the pass. Troutman is a blocking guy for Denver and not going to be the same as Dulcich. And then Clement from Chicago, not interested in. Defenses, Dallas and Tampa Bay, I think, are the head of the class. If we can get to them and pair them with the running back, then I like that. Other pay ups, if you want to pay up for San Francisco or the Giants, I think are in a good situation also. Punts would be the Jets and Arizona. Still in play would be the Raiders, if you think that Josh Allen's still going to be a little bit reckless, and Detroit, because the Seattle offensive line is not great, and they should be able to get to the quarterback and hopefully get some sacks there. I'm avoiding probably Denver and Seattle. I know I said that Denver potentially you could pair with the running back in the stack, but just in second thought, I just don't think they put up enough points. So there's my favorite game stacks on the bottom. So let's look at the cores that I built. So I have Allen as the number one quarterback. I'm fine if you want to pay down a little bit, and if you want to go Lamar here over him, or if you want to go Lawrence or Mahomes. I think any of them are in play here, but I'm going with Allen and Diggs. Love the matchup. White is my running back. I'm pairing with the Tampa Bay defense. And then Reed, I like the value there for him in the wide receiver. And Okokwu is a nice value at tight end. It's pretty much the same build on FanDuel. In these builds, you can get McAfee in there, or you can go balance to fill out the rest of the line. For GPP, lots of options that I like here, but I'm going with that game that scored 1 million points last time. So give me a Goff, Metcalf, Reynolds, and St. Brown on DK. Pollard and Dallas defense, I'm going to pair up there. And then I can get to Lockett easier on FanDuel without making sacrifices. If you want to throw in Montgomery or Gibbs as the second running back there in either of the sites, I like that too. I'm leaning more Gibbs. He's a little bit more expensive, but I think there's more upside there, and I think we'll see it this week. And again, I'm taking the Dallas defense. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, put in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRoar31 on Twitter. Again, still looking for feedback on this format of what helps and what doesn't for this. So still new to this. So hopefully a couple weeks from now, we'll have it down pat and be able to get you the information that you're looking for. So appreciate you watching. If it's helpful to you, then you already helped by watching this far into the video. So, but if you want to go a little bit further, give us a like, subscribe to our channel so we know our videos are coming out, and share with your friends so that they can be helped also. by us. And if you want more information on FSI DFS, you can go to the description of the video, and there's a link to our website to sign up for our football package, which includes like showdowns and other coaching one-on-one from myself, Jay Scott, and Rob, and some others are in the room to help you build your lineup and answer any of your questions. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contests. You know how to get a hold of me if you have any questions. I'll see you next time.